I struggled with low iron for over a decade, and in less than 4 months, I was able to increase my iron levels from 33 to 144 by adding just one food into my diet. In today's video, I am going to discuss the different types of iron, nutrient synergy, and tell you the one food that I added into my diet that helped me increase my iron levels. For over a decade, I struggled with either low iron, an iron deficiency, and for a short period of time, anemia. In 2019, I realized that my struggle with low iron started a few months after I started taking hormonal birth control. When I came to that realization, I decided to stop taking hormonal birth control pills, and within a few months, my ferritin levels started to increase. Unfortunately, they dropped again in mid-2020 while I was experiencing mono, but I still believe there was a connection between my low iron and hormonal birth control. I am not an expert in this field. This is just my experience. If you would like to learn more about my decade-long struggle with low iron, you can check out this video. I will link it in the cards and in the show notes below. Due to the topic of this video, I think it's important that I add a disclaimer. I am not a medical professional. This video is not intended to be medical advice. The purpose of this video is to share my experience. If you are seeking medical advice, a diagnosis, or treatment, I highly recommend consulting a medical professional. In the early fall of 2020, I listened to an episode of the Be Well by Kelly podcast. It was episode number 43 called Managing Your Diet During Pregnancy with Lily Nichols. I was not pregnant at the time that I listened to this episode, but Rob and I were talking about soon starting to try to grow a family. This episode was jam-packed with so much great information, but the information about iron was exactly what I needed to hear. They discussed the different types of iron found in food, the way that your body handles the different types of iron, as well as the best type of food that you can eat to help increase your iron levels. Needless to say, I ordered Lily Nichols' book, Real Food for Pregnancy, the day that I listened to that episode. I will link the book in the description below. If you are pregnant or thinking about becoming pregnant, Real Food for Pregnancy is a must read. Like I said, they discuss the different types of iron that can be found in your food. Basically, there are two types of iron. Animal foods have heme iron and plant-based foods have non-heme iron. And our bodies handle both types of iron differently. Heme iron, which is found in animal food, is more easily absorbed by our body. Approximately 25 to 40% of heme iron is absorbed by our body. So if you were to look at a nutrition label, you can expect to absorb approximately 25 to 40% of the iron listed, whereas non-heme iron has a very low absorption rate. It can be as low as 1% and at best 13%. And on the higher end, that 13% is a plant food that is already high in iron, and it has been sprouted, soaked, or fermented to help increase its absorption rate. So if you were to look at a nutrition label of a plant-based food, you can expect to absorb approximately 1 to a best 13% of the iron listed on the label. That podcast episode was the first time that I ever heard iron in food explained that way. I knew that red meat contained more iron than green leafy vegetables, but I never knew that my body could more easily absorb the iron in meat than in plant food. I just thought that whatever was listed on the nutrition label, I was absorbing. Another very important takeaway from that episode was nutrient synergy. Before listening to the episode, I knew that consuming iron with vitamin C increases absorption, whereas consuming iron with calcium could inhibit its absorption. But I did not realize that there were other vitamins that can help increase the absorption of iron. Lily touched on the fact that treating anemia with iron alone does not cut it for most people. However, if it is combined with vitamin A and or vitamin B12, you can fix a significantly higher amount of cases, and oftentimes you can do so with a lower dose of iron. So if you are experiencing low iron, it may be a good idea to ask your healthcare professional to check for other nutrient deficiencies such as B12. Lily's recommendation for improving iron levels was one that I heard and read about many times in the past, but honestly, I was not ready for it until the day that I listened to that episode. that recommendation is consuming liver. Like I said, I heard and read about this recommendation many times, but it was the one thing that I refused to try. I thought liver was nasty. I disliked the smell, the taste, the texture. I basically hated everything about it. We have made Hallie homemade dog treats since she was a puppy, and one of her favorite treats is dehydrated liver. I was always disgusted by the task of making dehydrated liver treats for Hallie, so I could not picture myself eating liver. But the day that I listened to that podcast episode, I was sort of in a place where I was desperate to find a solution, and I was willing to try just about anything. Lily described liver as the trifecta. It is a source of heme iron, it contains vitamin A in the retinol form, and it also contains high amounts of vitamin B12. After doing some further research, I found out that liver is one of the most nutrient-dense foods that you can consume. So I decided to look up some ways to cook liver that hid the taste and found several recommendations for including it in dishes that contain ground beef and spices. Over the next few weeks, I tried out several recipes. Chili, taco, and marinara sauce, to name a few, but chili was the clear winner. I added pureed liver to my favorite chili recipe, and I was pleasantly surprised when I realized that I could not taste the liver. So I continued to consume about 1 to 2 servings of chili per week. In November of 2020, I had an appointment with a new hematologist. I almost did not attend that appointment because the week prior, when I got my blood work results back from my family doctor, my ferritin levels were 144. I had improved my ferritin levels from 33 to 144 in less than 4 months. I struggled with low iron for over a decade, and in less than 4 months, I was able to resolve that issue. And I was only consuming liver for about 2 of those 4 months. Needless to say, I was shocked. I decided to go see my new hematologist anyway, and I'm very glad that I did because we had a great discussion. She told me that she did not normally accept referrals from patients with iron deficiencies, but she made an exception for me because of my allergic reaction to intravenous iron. And she called the fact that I was 7 weeks pregnant a happy coincidence. She told me how important iron is for the development of the fetus during the 2nd trimester, and wanted to monitor my iron levels throughout pregnancy. She asked what I had been doing differently in the last few months since my referral, so I told her about how I hide liver in chili, and I consume approximately 1 to 2 servings of chili per week, which equals about 1 to 2 ounces of liver per week. She was certain that my liver chili was the reason for my increase in ferritin levels. Not only is liver high on iron, the chili is also high in vitamin C, which increases my body's ability to absorb the iron. She also told me that as long as I kept my liver consumption to about 1 to 2 ounces per week, that I was safe to continue eating liver during my pregnancy. My hematologist told me that I should continue taking my prenatal vitamin, which contained iron, but to stop taking an additional iron supplement unless my ferritin levels dropped again during pregnancy. And she told me that if that happened, to take the iron supplement every other day as a way to trick my body into absorbing more iron. I had an iron deficiency for over 10 years and had seen multiple doctors, and she was the first person to tell me about this trick. I did experience a drop in my ferritin levels during the 2nd trimester of pregnancy, mainly due to the increased blood volume and the increased iron needs of baby, but they never dropped to a level that became a concern. I did start taking an iron supplement during the 2nd trimester, and I took the iron supplement every other day like my hematologist recommended. Since Zachary was born, I have not been doing a good job of making my health a priority. I have not been consuming liver consistently, and I have not taken an iron supplement since he was born. I still take my prenatal vitamin that contains iron on a daily basis, but most of the things that I was doing prior to getting pregnant and during pregnancy to improve my iron levels, I have not been doing on a regular basis. Unfortunately, I have been experiencing some of the symptoms of low iron. The last time I got my blood work checked, my ferritin levels were 44, so not as bad as they have been in the past, but not as good as I know they can be. So one of my goals for the remainder of this year is to make my health a priority. I want to be the healthiest version of myself so that I have more energy for my family, so I can pour more love into them and they can get the best version of me. I am working on shifting my mindset from it being selfish of me to take time for myself to reminding myself that I am doing it not only for myself, but for my family as well. And this is something that I have struggled with since becoming a mom. So I am going to go back to my basics. I will be consuming approximately 1 to 2 ounces of liver per week. For the most part, I will be hiding it in chili, but I will also be eating liver pate on crackers. We did baby-led weaning with Zachary, and the first time that I introduced liver, I gave him fried liver strips. But the second time I gave him liver pate, and I don't hate it. If I add it to flavorful crackers, I don't mind eating liver pate. I don't love it, but I don't eat liver for the taste, I eat it for the benefits. If I had started eating liver by eating it as liver pate, I probably never would have stuck with it. I think adding it to chili originally helped me get over the fact that I was eating liver, and now I can sit down, I can eat liver pate and crackers and I don't mind it. Whereas if I had started with that, I probably never would have stuck with it. Some of the things that I am currently doing on a daily basis that I am going to continue to do are taking my prenatal vitamin that contains iron, adding vitamin D drops to my water in the morning, and taking a sublingual vitamin B12 supplement. Some of the things that I was doing prior to getting pregnant and during my pregnancy that I kind of stopped doing that I want to add back in are starting my day with a glass of lemon water and a greens drink, and consuming 1 cup of nettle tea daily. I also want to start using my Lucky Iron Fish again when I make soups and broths, and to make iron water for my daily greens drink. For now, I am not going to add back in an iron supplement, but I will reevaluate in a few months. As always, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you do not miss out on any future videos. I hope you have a great day, and I will see you in the next one. I struggled with low iron and iron deficiency. I can't say deficiency. Oh my goodness, how hard is that? I struggled with low iron and iron deficiency. I struggled with low iron and iron deficiency. Oh my goodness.